Today, we are diving into the intricate dynamics of a marriage that becomes strained under the weight of unexpected changes and pressures. This narrative revolves around Arthur and Chloe Vance, a couple whose relationship is tested by the currents of personal ambition, grief, and an unforgiving reality. Arthur and Chloe, both in their early 30s, met while navigating the demanding waters of a rigorous graduate program. The thrill of pursuing parallel careers in marketing and architectural design added excitement to their relationship. With Arthur's knack for crafting compelling marketing strategies and Chloe's visionary approach to architecture, they envisioned a life filled with potential. They embarked on a loving journey that culminated in marriage, setting firm foundations for their shared dreams. Settled into the vibrant San Francisco Bay Area, they thrived in their careers, enjoying the dual-income lifestyle many aspire to. Hopes for a bright future blossomed when they welcomed two beautiful daughters within the span of just 2 years. These little girls, Lily and Maya, brought immeasurable joy to their lives, weaving deeper connections into the fabric of their family. However, the tides turned dramatically when Arthur, at the age of 35, received a significant promotion to marketing director at his boutique agency. While it injected excitement and ambition into their lives, this advancement also created an unexpected shift in their dynamic. With Arthur making nearly triple Chloe's salary, the balance of financial power in their marriage began to tip. Although he relished his newfound success, Chloe struggled to reconcile her sense of professional identity. It was becoming increasingly clear that the weight of achievement in their relationship began to shift. Just as it seemed they had reached a new zenith, tragedy struck. Chloe's father suddenly passed away, shattering the stability they once knew. In the aftermath of his death, as if navigating through a fog of grief, Chloe took on the daunting responsibility of reviving her father's struggling architectural firm. With resolve forged from heartbreak and grief, she poured herself into long hours of work, determined to honor his memory and legacy. Slowly but surely, through grit and determination, Chloe revitalized the firm, transforming it into a highly profitable enterprise. Her success soared, surpassing even Arthur's income, and further altering their roles within their marriage. No longer just supportive, she became the primary financial provider, navigating the turbulent waters of her industry while simultaneously making peace with her loss. Amid this whirlwind, Arthur began to take notice of the changes not only in Chloe's professional life, but in her demeanor as well. He could sense the way she became increasingly strained by her responsibilities. In her ambitious quest to breathe new life into the firm, she became less available emotionally and physically. As exhaustion seeped into her bones, affection and intimacy seemed to fade into the background. Arthur's initial instinct was to attribute this emotional distance to the overwhelming demands of her career. He reasoned she must be struggling due to the stress of running a business and managing their family. Seeing his wife stretch herself thinner with every passing day, he made a significant decision meant to provide more stability at home for their young daughters. Recognizing the need for a steady presence in the household, Arthur made a calculated pivot in his career. He stepped down from his demanding corporate role, choosing instead to become an independent marketing consultant, a drastic change that came with a significant pay cut. While on the surface this might appear as a noble sacrifice, Arthur's choice came with unexpected consequences. He believed it would allow him to offer primary childcare to Lily and Maya, providing the caring environment they deserved. Yet little did he know, the seeds of discontent had already begun to germinate in their once thriving marriage, creating the groundwork for deep emotional divides that would come to haunt them both. As time progressed, their relationship continued to evolve, but not in the ways either of them could have foreseen. Each day, Chloe found it harder to balance the burgeoning success of her business with the demands of family life. The warmth that once radiated between her and Arthur started to dissipate, replaced by the chill of unexpressed dissatisfaction and buried resentment. Chloe's dismissive comments regarding Arthur's new role came more frequently, laden with a subtle tone of condescension. Portions of their dynamic that once felt rich and rewarding turned flat and unfulfilling. Instead of communicating about their struggles and needs, they drifted further apart, masking the growing friction with routines of work, childcare, and hollow, obligatory interactions. In the shadows of their home, Arthur began to wonder if the sacrifices made were worth the emotional toll they were enduring. Unbeknownst to him, the reality of their fleeting moments together was about to reach a critical point that would alter everything he thought he knew about love, trust, and betrayal. And in that impending change lay the heart of their story, a journey that would unearth buried truths while forcing both Arthur and Chloe to confront their own inner demons. Their lives were about to fracture, revealing just how precariously their marriage held together, as identities and expectations would be shattered in the wake of startling revelations. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the emotional consequences of their choices, as well as the quest for healing and redemption that lies ahead. As Arthur and Chloe settled into the rhythms of their daily lives, they each felt the weight of change pressing down unexpectedly on their marriage. Once partners in ambition, they transitioned into unequal roles filled with unspoken discontent, a shift that neither had anticipated but both grappled with silently. Chloe Vance, once the bright-eyed architect, driven by passion, now found herself engrossed in the responsibilities of running her father's firm. After her father's tragic passing, the firm had become a symbol of legacy, a connection to her past, and a challenge she had resolved to meet head-on. Chloe poured everything she had into its revival. She was not merely fulfilling an obligation, she was reinventing herself in the face of grief, reshaping her identity through the firm's newfound success. In doing so, however, she began to neglect the very foundations of her family life, foundations that Arthur was desperately trying to uphold. Her late nights at the office, once an occasional necessity, became the norm. An excruciating cycle of relentless work hours left no space for the warmth that had once colored their relationship. Intimacy, both emotional and physical, waned. As Chloe grew consumed with her career, Arthur began to feel like an afterthought, an accessory in the life they had built together. Arthur noticed the first changes in their interactions. The dismissive remarks during dinner became more frequent, laced with sarcasm. "Are you sure you actually work during the day?" Chloe would quip, a smirk lingering on her lips, a playful tone masking the sharpness of her words. "It must be nice to have such a flexible schedule." Arthur would smile, returning the jab with one of his own. Or at least he tried to. Yet inside he cringed, feeling the sting of her comments. Day after day, Chloe presented herself as the victorious entrepreneur, while Arthur transitioned into the role of house husband, a title he never imagined he would bear. Meanwhile, on the surface, Chloe thrived. She celebrated significant breakthroughs, recognized her contributions in industry publications, and paved the way for a firm that now stood as a testament to her father's legacy. Yet beneath her triumph lay a growing resentment, festering slowly but steadily. Arthur wished he could bask in her achievements, but he often found himself questioning whether his own sacrifices were weighing down their family or multiplying the distance between them. Amidst the chaos of school pickups and work deadlines, Arthur remained a dependable presence at home. He dedicated himself wholeheartedly to raising their two daughters, Lily and Maya. In so doing, he took pride in nurturing their daily lives, managing the logistics of school projects, and organizing family outings, all essential components that filled their home with laughter and warmth. In the heart of it all, Arthur felt he was leaving a significant mark on their children's upbringing. However, his heart grew heavy as he witnessed Chloe's gradual emotional withdrawal. Gone were the days of candid conversations over dinner. Now nights passed in silence, two phones lit only by the glow of digital notifications and professional demands. Chloe cited exhaustion more often, giving vague excuses that left Arthur concerned but unsure how to address them. "I'm just not feeling great today," she'd murmur, brushing him off while retreating into her world of work. Arthur convinced himself it was simply the strain of her responsibilities, attributing her emotional distance to the exhausting pressures of running her firm in a competitive market. Arthur struggled with feelings of inadequacy, but held on to the belief that this was a phase. He reminded himself of their vows, the love they once shared, and the family they had built together. He endeavored to step up in ways he thought could bring them closer again, planning weekend getaways, surprising her with small gestures, flowers, her favorite treats, or date nights left unfulfilled on the coffee table. Yet Chloe seemed unresponsive to his efforts, often preoccupied with work emails and deadlines. While Arthur was trying to revive the romance in their marriage, he sensed Chloe slipping further away emotionally at first, and then as the weeks turned into months, physically, the intimacy that once thrived between them became an elusive ghost, and the ever-present spark faded to a whisper. As Chloe withdrew into her world, cradling achievements that fed her ambition, Arthur's heart ached for the connection they once shared. The lingering doubts weighed heavily on him, yet he felt powerless to confront them. As the tension between them crescendoed, Arthur wondered whether he was too complacent in their marriage or if he had miscalculated the depth of Chloe's ambitions. He often asked himself why he felt compelled to make sacrifices at home when Chloe's success eclipsed his own. Was he making the right choice for their family, or merely fueling Chloe's relentless pursuit for validation that to him seemed to glow brighter and more attentively than the warmth of their own hearts? And as he wrestled with these questions, an unsettling reality loomed. The emotional distance between them was no longer just a gap. It had transformed into a chasm, widening silently and surely, a rift that would reveal itself in devastating clarity when the shadows of betrayal eventually crept in to disturb their fragile world. Stay tuned as we delve deeper into the twists and turns of love, ambition, and resentment the tumultuous landscapes of Arthur and Chloe's marriage heralding an impending storm that neither could predict. As Arthur navigated the currents of his daily responsibilities, the sense of unease within him continued to grow. It was a quiet kind of discontent, one that whispered of unresolved issues and buried tensions. With each passing day, the vibrant connection he once shared with Chloe dimmed a little further, their marriage entwined with an unspoken sadness that neither dared to name. The emotional disconnect had morphed into something far more sinister, though Arthur had yet to grasp the full extent of it. One Tuesday evening, while tending to the household and juggling the demands of his daughters, Chloe informed him that she would be late returning from a client dinner. Arthur, accustomed to the rhythm of their lives, shrugged off the delay. He regarded it as an unfortunate complication of her demanding work schedule. After tucking Lily and Maya into bed, he embarked on tidying up the study, both to clear his mind and make the space more inviting for when Chloe finally returned home. As he opened the family laptop to access a forgotten financial document, a wave of curiosity washed over him. The screen flickered to life, and as he navigated through the various folders, he stumbled across an icon that piqued his interest. It was an unusually named hidden folder comprised of seemingly random characters. His heart raced as an inexplicable urge compelled him to click on it. What he uncovered within that forbidden folder would change the trajectory of his life forever. Scrolling through the contents, he was met with a trove of incriminating evidence, text message screenshots, intimate photographs, and several short, explicit videos exchanged between Chloe and Julian, a junior architect at her firm. The timestamps revealed a year-long affair, one that had blossomed in the shadows, meticulously crafted by whispers and unguarded moments. Arthur's pulse quickened as he absorbed each detail. The messages revealed not only the nature of their relationship but also an alarming perspective on his role as a husband and father. Julian referred to him derisively as the house husband or Mr. Part-Time. Chloe's responses, filled with agreement and amusement, cut deeper than any physical wound could. They were a painful testament to her feelings toward Arthur, feelings that he had sensed but could not fully articulate. Initially, a wave of shock washed over him, numbing his senses. But it did not take long for raw, searing anger to break through the haze. How could Chloe betray him like this? His mind spiraled, racing through memories of their life together, each one now tainted by betrayal. Arthur meticulously took screenshots and downloaded every incriminating message, knowing that the evidence would serve as an important tool for the reckoning that lay ahead. When Chloe finally returned home, her demeanor appeared unaffected. She breezed through the door, oblivious to the storm brewing just beneath the surface of their domestic facade. Arthur, his heart pounding in his chest, maintained a calm exterior. When she mentioned his unusually quiet disposition, he merely offered a vague excuse about a stressful work call. The lie hovered between them, unacknowledged but palpable. That night, as they settled into the routine of sleep, Chloe turned her back to him, curling up tightly beneath the covers. She offered no further words, no tender touch, merely a casual dismissal of the distance that had grown between them. Arthur lay awake, his heart heavy with sorrow and indignation. Questions raged silently in his mind. What could he say? What could he do? In the days that followed, Arthur found himself contemplating the myriad implications of what he had discovered. The realization that their marriage was not merely experiencing a rough patch, but rather unraveling before his eyes instilled a sense of urgency within him. He needed to act. He could no longer remain passive in a situation where his family and heart were at stake. Gradually, he transitioned into a state of strategic resolve. Moving into the guest bedroom, he cited a desire for improved focus on his growing marketing consultancy. In truth, this separation was an escape, a necessary distance from the deep betrayal that threatened to consume him. The emotional dissonance fueled his preparations for what was to come. As days turned into weeks, Arthur meticulously compiled and organized all the evidence he had uncovered. Each message and image burned in his mind, echoing a painful truth he could no longer deny. He began consulting with a highly reputable family law firm, ensuring absolute discretion, choosing a law office located in a different district to mitigate any local gossip that might follow him. His lawyer, an experienced advocate with a keen understanding of family dynamics, assured him that he had a strong case. Encouragement flowed as his attorney laid out the path ahead. Plans for full custody of the girls, potential child support, alimony, and even retention of the marital home, with Chloe held accountable for the mortgage. Arthur grappled with the emotions that swirled within. On one hand, he felt a surge of hope. On the other, a deep pang of loss for the innocence of a family that had begun to fracture. Yet his lawyer also advised silence, urging Arthur to maintain the appearance of normalcy in their daily interactions until the formal divorce papers could be served. This was not merely a legal strategy, but an emotional shield against the devastation that awaited Chloe, a woman he had loved but whose recent actions had irrevocably altered their future. As he moved deeper into this unfamiliar territory of legal preparation, Arthur wrestled with complex emotions. He felt a flicker of relief, coupled with grief, as he processed the unfolding reality. In that quiet space, hidden behind a veneer of normalcy, he began to nurture a central idea for the sake of himself and their daughters. He would reclaim his life and protect what remained of his family from the destructive fallout of betrayal. Stay tuned as we follow Arthur's journey through the challenges of discovery, legal battles, and the fight to safeguard his family's future against the backdrop of an anguished marriage, one that seemed destined to experience more turmoil before clarity could be attained. As the whirlwind of emotional turmoil settled into a dense fog within Arthur, he forced himself to act with strategic resolve. The discovery of Chloe's affair lingered at the forefront of his mind, an unbearable weight, yet it ignited a fierce determination within him. He could no longer afford to remain passive in a situation where his family's future hung precariously in the balance. The searing pain of betrayal had steeled his resolve to navigate the difficult terrain of divorce. Initially, he sought shelter in the guest bedroom, citing the need for heightened focus on a complex project. However, this change in his living arrangement was much more than mere logistics. It was a necessary retreat from the overwhelming emotions that threatened to engulf him. The guest bedroom became his safe haven, a place where he could gather his thoughts, catalog his feelings, and meticulously plot his course of action. Over the following weeks, Arthur became a warrior of organization. He meticulously gathered every piece of evidence he had discovered on the family laptop, organizing the incriminating messages and recording the timestamps. Each screenshot and photograph was a stepping stone toward a resolution he could hardly fathom. As he combed through the contents of the hidden folder repeatedly, the reality of Chloe's betrayal crystallized with painful clarity. The images and messages served as stark reminders of not only her infidelity, but also the profound emotional distance that had crept into their lives long before this revelation. Feeling a flicker of hope paired with a tremendous sense of loss, Arthur sought the guidance of an esteemed family law firm located in a different district. The decision to consult with a legal professional was critical. It was not merely about seeking a divorce, but about claiming the future he feared was slipping away. He wanted to ensure that both he and his daughters would be shielded from the fallout of Chloe's actions. This lawyer, a woman with a reputation for winning cases, quickly grasped the intricacies of Arthur's situation. In an encouraging and confident manner, she laid out a robust strategy that bolstered Arthur's resolve. Full custody of his daughters, she asserted, was not just hopeful, it was attainable. Furthermore, she outlined the potential for substantial child support and alimony, positioning Arthur favorably in the legal landscape. As the dawning realization set in that his sacrifices and dedication as a stay-at-home parent would not be overlooked, a cascade of emotions flooded through him. The prospect of retaining the marital home while placing the financial responsibility for mortgage payments squarely on Chloe's shoulders came as a significant relief. Yet the realization of what lay ahead began to settle in, a long, emotionally taxing battle that would not only test his strength, but also his resolve to maintain the well-being of his daughters. Arthur's lawyer counseled him on the necessity of silence in their domestic interactions. Until the divorce papers were served, maintaining an appearance of normalcy would be crucial. This strategy was designed to prevent any hint of suspicion or retaliation from Chloe that might define his actions as aggressive. However, Arthur's resolve was not without its hurdles. The emotional turmoil weighed on him, and doubts often threatened to undermine his convictions. He contemplated the consequences of unraveling the life they had built together and grappled with the fleeting pang of guilt that often accompanied thoughts of divorce. Was this truly the right path? As these questions haunted his mind, the necessity of protecting his daughters from the harsh realities of adult betrayal became his guiding light. This fierce commitment fueled him, fortifying his determination to shield Lily and Maya from the discord that threatened to envelop their cozy family dynamics. He found comfort in the knowledge that he was taking steps to create a more stable environment for them, even if that meant dismantling the life he had known. In the following days, as he consulted with professionals regarding their situation, he felt an unexpected inner strength blossoming. He and his lawyer discussed a contingency plan concerning their daughter's well-being. They advised that medical tests would serve as a cautionary measure, although they were difficult steps to undertake. The thought of paternity and health screenings filled him with dread, a reminder of uncertainty lurking just beneath the surface. Finally, the day arrived when Arthur received the test results confirming the paternity of both Lily and Maya, along with the welcome news of his negative STD results. The emotional relief was palpable. A sense of clarity emerged in the murky waters of betrayal. His daughters were safe, and he could breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that his commitment to their welfare remained uncompromised. The final pieces of the divorce process fell into place, and as he prepared for the inevitable confrontation with Chloe, he felt a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. This road would not be easy, but he had resolved not to let the bitterness of betrayal overshadow his love for his daughters. His focus remained steadfast on creating a nurturing environment for them in the face of the challenges ahead. Stay tuned as we follow Arthur's journey through the emotional and logistical complexities of divorce, the ripples it creates throughout his family life, and the profound resolve he must summon to forge a path forward. The air in the room felt heavy with a collective anticipation that reflected the undercurrents of betrayal, heartbreak, and anxiety. On an unremarkable Tuesday, what began as another routine day in the life of Arthur Vance transformed into a seismic shift in his world. Minutes after Chloe Vance stepped into the office for another high-profile meeting, an estranged reality surged through the very fabric of their lives. Today was the day Arthur had chosen to act, the day he would unveil the reality that Chloe had forced upon them with her secrets. The inbox on Arthur's computer flickered like a warning beacon, but it was not the kind he had anticipated. A process server, a nondescript figure in a crisp suit, stood at his door, documents firmly in hand. This was the moment that felt like a dream turning into a nightmare. He had prepared for this, yet the reality struck cold and sharp like a bolt of lightning. When the server handed over the divorce papers with an unwavering steadiness, Arthur's heart raced. Each page held the weight of every unspoken word in their marriage, the agony, the deceit, the responsibilities, and the unrelenting love for their children. As Arthur read through the documents, a flood of emotions washed over him, each sentence igniting a new fire of anxiety, hope, and regret. Chloe would soon unravel in the face of this revelation. He could almost hear the chaos building in her mind, the frantic questions roaring to the surface, but he knew he needed to brace himself. He would be the one who must keep their daughters stable amidst this storm. Once Arthur had envisioned a happy family life, but now there was a new reality emerging. Maestro in the orchestra of a new family dynamic, he understood the need for a quiet yet resolute strength. He felt the burden of protecting his daughters resting on his shoulders, especially now that he was awarded temporary full custody, a promise of safety in the backdrop of confusion. Lily, their 10-year-old daughter, quickly caught wind of the situation. Shivers of uncertainty coursed through her as she searched her father's eyes. "Where is Mommy?" she pressed, her voice small yet laden with unspoken fears. In that instant, Arthur's heart shattered into tiny fragments. How could he explain a decision that already felt too heavy for his own heart, let alone a child's? Maya, the younger sister at only 7, seemed cocooned in a cloud of innocent confusion. When she caught a glimpse of the sadness that flickered in her father's eyes, she leaned in closer, seeking solace. Arthur felt the pull of despair during that moment, but behind it was an overwhelming need to be strong for them both. How could he help them navigate the confusing waves of emotions that distorted their once peaceful existence? Days passed, each one imbued with the bittersweet weight of their new reality. Arthur multiplied his efforts to ensure stability for Lily and Maya, crafting small rituals to help maintain some semblance of normality amidst the chaos. Each meal shared at the table reverberated with stories that created warmth in the chill of their fractured lives. They played board games, shared laughter, and even discovered new diverse recipes as a form of bonding. However, the lingering question remained, what would happen when they eventually faced Chloe again? Arthur struggled with the pang of guilt and doubts. Was he really doing the right thing? As much as he kept affirming the resolve that reaching this point felt necessary, a shadow loomed over him. A part of him remained terrified. Would blowing up their lives truly be worth it? Would he be capable of restoring the missing bits of their family that seemed to vanish along with Chloe's betrayal? The answer resided in the sobering truth that darkness had invaded their home, but Arthur vowed to shield their 2 innocent girls from its clutches. Both Lily and Maya needed to emerge from this stronger, braver, and less burdened by adult realities. Each embrace was laced with an unspoken promise. They would rise together through this tumultuous chapter, and whenever doubts threatened to undermine his resolve, all he needed to do was look into their eyes, to see the fierce love they held for him. As the doorbell echoed through the home, Arthur braced himself for a very different confrontation, one that would likely reshape the narrative once again. He took a deep breath, ready to face the next chapter in a fight he never anticipated, while never wavering in his commitment to shield his daughters from the fallout. Thank you for joining me on this emotional journey through the complexities of a broken marriage and the fierce love that drives a parent to protect their children. If you were touched by Arthur's story, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Let us know how you navigate difficult family dynamics and what lessons you have learned from your own experiences. If you found value in this video, please like and subscribe for more content that explores the intricacies of human relationships, resilience, and the pursuit of healing. Together, let us delve into the stories that connect us all and learn from each other's experiences. Until next time, stay strong, stay connected, and remember the strongest currents often lead us to the deepest depths of understanding. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Peace.